Welcome back. We continue with watches from 1970 to 1979, the decade that changed watchmaking forever. The 1970s transformed the watch industry more than any other decade. Quartz technology arrived, Swiss brands faced collapse, and entirely new luxury sports watch categories were born. For collectors, this era is where vintage tool watches evolved. We begin with the 1970 Seiko Quartz Astron. The Astron didn't just introduce a new watch, it triggered the quartz revolution. Released on Christmas Day 1969 in Japan, it was the world's first commercially available quartz wristwatch. At launch, it reportedly cost as much as a small car, showing how advanced the technology was at the time. For traditional Swiss watchmaking, the Astron represented an existential threat. Quartz movements were vastly more accurate than mechanical watches and could eventually be mass-produced cheaply. Entire Swiss brands disappeared because of what this watch started. Collectors view the Astron as one of the most historically important watches ever made, not because of luxury, but because it changed the entire industry. Next, the 1971 Rolex GMT-Master 1675. The 1675 fully matured during the 1970s and became the definitive vintage GMT-Master. It embodied the glamour of international travel during the jet age. Pilots, executives, and adventurers wore it as global air travel expanded rapidly. Collectors loved the faded Pepsi bezels, gilt dials, and long production history that created endless variations. No two heavily aged examples look exactly alike. The 1675 is one of those rare watches that feels equally rugged and elegant, a true travel icon. Next, the 1972 Audemars Piguet Royal Oak 5402 ST. This watch changed luxury watchmaking forever. Designed overnight by legendary designer Gerald Genta, the Royal Oak shocked the industry when it launched. It was made from stainless steel, yet cost more than many gold watches. At the time, the idea seemed absurd. But the Royal Oak created the luxury steel sports watch category. Integrated bracelet, exposed screw, ultra-thin case, industrial-inspired design. Today, nearly every luxury sports watch traces its DNA back to the Royal Oak. Collectors refer to the early 5402 as the Jumbo, and original examples are now Grail-level pieces. Up next, we have the 1973 Omega Speedmaster Mark II. The Mark II shows how radically watch design changed during the 1970s. Instead of the classic moonwatch shape, Omega introduced a streamlined tonneau case with a more futuristic integrated look. It reflected the era's obsession with automotive styling, speed, and modernism. The watch also improved legibility and durability compared to earlier Speedmasters. For years, it was overlooked by collectors, but enthusiasts now appreciate it as one of the coolest alternative Speedmasters from Omega's experimental period. And we take a look at 1974 Rolex Datejust. While the industry chased futuristic designs and quartz innovation, the Datejust quietly became the standard for timeless luxury. By the mid-70s, the Datejust represented success, professionalism, and understated wealth. It wasn't flashy, it was dependable elegance. The combination of Jubilee bracelet, fluted bezel, Cyclops date oyster case created one of the most recognizable silhouettes in watch history. Even today, nearly every brand attempts to make its own Datejust-style watch. Now comes in the 1975 Patek Philippe Nautilus. After the Royal Oak succeeded, Patek Philippe wanted its own luxury steel sports watch. Gerald Genta again delivered the design. Inspired by a ship's porthole, the Nautilus introduced softer, more fluid lines than the Royal Oak. It looks sporty, but also elegant and relaxed. At launch, many traditional collectors hated it. A steel Patek Philippe sports watch felt completely against the brand's identity. Today, it's one of the most desired watches on Earth. The Nautilus proved luxury was changing, from formal dress watches to casual sophistication. Continuing with Patek Philippe, we have its 1976 Patek Philippe Nautilus 3700. The 3700 is the original production Nautilus, and one of the most influential luxury watches ever created. Collectors call it the Jumbo because of its large size for the era. At 42 millimeters wide, it felt enormous in the 1970s. The brilliance of the 3700 lies in its balance. Ultra-thin movement, sporty shape, luxurious finishing, effortless wearability. Modern integrated bracelet hype culture essentially started with watches like this. Every steel luxury sports watch craze of the 2020s can trace itself back to the Nautilus 3700. Moving on to next watch, the 1977 Cartier Santos. The Santos is one of the oldest pilot watches ever made, originally designed for aviator Alberto Santos Dumont decades earlier. But in the late 1970s, Cartier modernized it into a luxury bracelet watch icon. The visible screws and integrated bracelet gave it a bold architectural look that fit perfectly into the decade's design language. What makes the Santos special is that it blends dress watch elegance, sports watch practicality, unmistakable Cartier style. Today, many collectors consider it one of the most versatile luxury watches ever created. Next is the 1978 Rolex Sea Dweller Double Red. The Double Red Sea Dweller is pure tool watch legend. Built for professional saturation divers working deep underwater, it introduced serious engineering innovations like the helium escape valve. The Double Red nickname comes from the 2 lines of red text on the dial, small details that now massively affect collector value. Unlike the Submariner, the Sea Dweller always felt more specialized, more hardcore, and more professional. To many enthusiasts, it represents Rolex at its most engineering-focused. And finally, the 1979 Casio F-100. The F-100 perfectly captures the futuristic optimism of late 70s digital culture. Its black resin case and push-button layout looked more like science fiction technology than traditional watchmaking. It became famous after appearing on the wrist of Ellen Ripley in Alien. Casio helped democratize watches in a way Swiss luxury brands never could. Affordable, accurate, durable fun. The F-100 represents the moment digital watches stopped being novelty items and became mainstream culture. The 1970s mattered. It changed the watchmaking in many ways, such as few quartz, luxury steel sports, and digital watches. Dividing the industry high-tech and mechanical luxury. That divide still defines the watch world today. Thank you for watching. Please share, like, comment, and subscribe.